Right here at the ticket booth, you see the pricing. And because this is a safari park, you have different safaris you can choose. Now, this is really cool. It's right here at the turnstiles. You got restroom locations right here also. That's right past the turnstiles. Got safari photos, stroller and wheelchair rentals. This is their pricing. I'm gonna go inside Safari Outfitters and see about a hat. Alright, I see lots of different hats. So I see several different types of hats. Like the hat there to the right. I think that might be the same type of hat that I got when I went to the San Diego Zoo about 5-6 years ago. But I want one that says a safari park, which are these two right here. Hey everybody, Tom here for Tom's Road Trip, and I'm in San Diego, California, and today I'm visiting the San Diego Zoo Safari Park. I did the San Diego Zoo about 5 or 6 years ago, last time I was here in California, so I'm extremely excited to be here. You can see I'm wearing my hat that I just got. It was $27 and change with the tax. They do charge $20 for parking, $38 for preferred parking, which is just slightly closer. I went for standard parking. I purchased my ticket online. I showed you the pricing right at the front. I do have a paper map I'm going to show you in a moment, and then we're going to get started. All right, so here is the map. So this is a huge property. I also showed you at the front that you have different types of safaris, hence the name Safari Park. My ticket includes the African tram. I'm not really sure what that entails just yet, but I'm going to start my walk. Right here, I believe, number 1 is the main entrance. So I'm probably just going to, essentially going to take a loop. So I'm going to go and head to the right and work my way around. So I'm going to go basically counterclockwise today. Alright, so you got a southern screamer. And the sign there to say wildlife off habitat, so they are doing something in here maintenance wise that keeps the bird off habitat. This little safari Jeep or Land Rover. Alright, so already I'm loving the design. Yeah, they're doing some maintenance work. To be expected. Busy summer season coming up soon. So now's the time to get the zoo ready. So this is the other birds that would normally be here that are off habitat temporarily. We've got some open air gift shops. We got Safari Coffee Outpost. This is where to go if you need some caffeine. Yeah, this is nice. Right here in this area, they got Congo Kitchen, not open yet. I'm showing you what they've got available. Not sure this is going to be open today or not. Maybe a little bit later. This area up here has the bazaar also, which looks like the zoo's larger gift shop. Alright, so you see the arrows pointing in different areas. You got Lagoon Loop, Gorilla Forest, and Gorilla Trail, which is this way. I want to check out Nairobi Walk first. So we're going to go this way first and I can backtrack. Nairobi Station. This is nice. Alright, first off here we got Sandcat. I like the Sandcat's habitat. And the Sandcat is right in here.
Hope you can get a good picture. He's a cutie.
Yeah. Here we go. All curled up, sleeping.
Small kitty cat.
But yeah, I love this cat's habitat. Yeah, I like the theming. We got Malagasy spider tortoise. Oh, there we go. I was looking for them. Right there. We got pancake tortoise. And we have that name because they're really, really flat. Like a pancake. And the pancake tortoise is squished right inside this little crevice. We got California king snake. So I'm not currently seeing the snake. So curled up somewhere just off view. Then we got a woma, or wama. Yeah, I like this guy's habitat also. Oh, there we go. There we go. We got Angolian python. Snake's right up in the front. Also gorgeous habitat. We got Madagascar tree boa. There we go. So heading past this stuff now. Alright, so you got this habitat here for this cute little critter. I'm not seeing a sign, but this looks like a red deeker or diker, if you will, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Really cute little animal. Yeah, I'm really sure that's what this is. Leave some comments down below with a timestamp. If I'm incorrect, correct me there. We got the Kalahari cupboard food and drink. That's what they've got. And I got my souvenir sipper. Got that a little bit earlier. Looks like we got the goat and sheep yard. Staff in there getting the habitat all ready. That is a big fuzzy sheep right there. Got the village playground. So places to sit and relax. We got flying foxes. We got hidden helpers. And so we got Rodriguez flying fox. Oh yeah. As you can see in there hanging. It is kind of warm in here. Mr. Vital Roll. Got one tiny island. Right across from Flying Foxes, you got Oasis on the Rocks. Food options. And of course, you're going to have the beverages. So you got a little bit of indoor seating, and then they have the outdoor seating. All right, showing the map again, you see right where I'm at. So I'm going to circle around the lower portion of Nairobi Village so I get over to Gorilla Forest and Journey of the Wild, and then I'll go into the African Woods and Lion Camp. Right over here we got the Flightline Safari. Got some flight facts. Silent flight. The Buzz on Flight. Going Batty. Get up and away. Alright, so you got the Oasis, Mombasa Cooker. Okay, so this is not open right now. And around the back they got Kibo. It's similar to the other little snack bar that I showed you. And just to the left and in the back they got restroom locations. Going past here, gonna head this direction. And then Mombasa Fishing Village. Oh, they got this really nice pond. With some of the local wildlife. See egret. Got pink-backed pelican, white-faced whistling duck, and white-breasted cormorant. And of course, the two white birds in the back are local birds. Pink-backed pelican. Got the Mombasa Lagoon. We got southern poodoo. Southern poodoo habitat. Looks like the poodoo is in a little hut right here. So it looks like it right there. And there we go. See the ears, little nose twitching. We got Chicoan peccary. These are little pigs. Trying to find one. Oh, there we go. Just had to go a little bit further up the pathway. Nice fuzzy piggy. Get West African black crowned crane. Another one over here. And we've got these two lovely looking geese. A little more view. All of the pelicans. The other view of that one crane. All right, gonna go on the boardwalk over the water. Ooh, that is really nice. And I'm a sucker for a nice waterfall. Got North Sewalsey Barbaroussa. Here we go. I think these two are the ladies. Hi. Gotta come over closer. Hello, how are you? So these are either very young or these are female. You see from the sign here, the males or the older ones, their tusks or their teeth continue to grow, and eventually they grow right through their snout. And the problem with that is these teeth grow back, and eventually they grow into the skull and into the brain. This is in the wild, of course. In the Barbaroussa that are in zoos, the teeth can be trimmed to prevent that from happening. So either these are young ones or they're females. I'm not 100% sure. So again, if you know, leave a timestamp comment down below. Bye! So yeah, this is really nice. Got rhinoceros hornbill, courtship and nesting, and conservation. Got one of the zoo staff in there with them.
Oh, he got something good in there now.
Wow, those are gorgeous birds. Other one up above. Hopping around. Hopping around. Such cool looking birds. We got bat-eared fox. Well, fox has a fantastic habitat also. It's good for the animal, but it makes it a lot harder to actually see the animal. Because you can be in here all sorts of different places, hiding, sleeping. So I'll check back later. It's right here in the front. Got this little pond. Got red-breasted goose. White-faced whistling duck. And Hawaiian goose. Hi, duckies! There are going to be some local birds in here also. I've seen egret. And some of the mallard ducks. Of course, local wildlife's going to take advantage of the free food, basically. There's another side view of the bat-eared fox habitat. Still not seeing the little fox. Alright, so I'm going to go across this little bridge area that went over the waterfall. Yeah, this is awesome. These are the flamingos that I saw right at the beginning I'm up on the 3rd level now. Oh, and you got a balloon you could take. Alright, just to clarify, because this is such a large property, I may not have time to go back and see any animals that I miss further back in the zoo. The ones up front, yes, I'll have time, so hopefully I won't miss anything. Alright, gonna go check out the gorillas. Got these 3 greeting everybody. I like this. Got the tree canopy. Got some birds here in this little small aviary. Got a white-fronted bee eater. Instructions for bee-eating birds. That's important. Chestnut-back thrush. Yellow crown bishop and a Luzon bleeding heart dove. Hi, birdie. Up. Ah. Just about to get a good view. Wow, they're fast little birds. Got family life. Like the habitat also. We got western gorilla. Very nice. Really like the habitat also. Right? I'm climbing down. So some areas you can sit or stand. Some information on the size of these gorillas could be. There's a nice side view of the western gorilla habitat. It's interesting, we've got you covered, do you? On the pathway they got the gorilla cart. But most of these are probably going to be open in the summertime. Alright, continuing along. They got the Bengal Amphitheater. That's right over here. Then they got Journey in the Wild. Starts at 2 p.m. Number 8 on the map. Just came through the Gorilla Trail and the Lagoon Loop. So now I'm going to be heading to the left for the African Loop. Before I do, they got the Mawazo Kitchen. This is what they've got. They got snacks and beverages. I decided to get some lunch while I'm here. Got lots more seating in the back. And they also have a playground just below. Kids can burn off some energy. Restroom locations. Playground area is called the Mawaza Woods Discovery Area. Alright, so I just had my lunch. Yeah, head here to the left for the African Loop and Africa Walk. I got red-cheeked gibbon. Alright, trying to see. Luckily there was a zoo worker here and poured out the gibbon. Partially hidden, but in the spot wants to be in. I think you see the nice white cheeks. Oh, there we go. Coming out now. There we go. Hi. How's it going, man? Sorry, past the gibbon. Heading this way. Looks like we got some elevation change here. Yeah, big time elevation change. There's the big balloon. Alright, so to get to the lower area, looks like we got some stairs. We got elevators. Right by the elevators you got Rift Gifts. This is good, so if you didn't get a hat when you first got here like I did, that's where you can go. But this is definitely geared towards the little ones. Yeah, because these are all little kid hats. And adult hats. Or little kid hats also, actually. And also up here by the elevators, you got the Riff Sandbar. That's what they've got. Now from up here, you can see some of the habitats. I believe this is where the African tram goes, which I'll be going in once I get there. This big giant balloon. Alright, showing you the map. Right where I'm at. Just got off the elevator. So I'm gonna go check out some of the other areas. Got Lion Camp and an Africa Outpost, number 10 on the map. So I'm gonna go check out the Africa Loop and the African Outpost first. Then I'll head back here and do the rest of the stuff here. African Plains Trail, Africa Tram. It's the elevation change. This is up there. Decided to take the elevator because I'm still tired from my day yesterday. We got slender horned gazelle. Very nice size habitat. Really like the landscaping at this zoo. Remember when I went to the San Diego Zoo, I was really impressed. Got some Nubian Sumaran's gazelle. This is the same habitat. So do you see some zoo staff in here? So the gazelle might not be in the habitat right now. Except we got Egyptian vulture and hooded vulture. These are actually nice looking birds. They're prettier looking than the standard black vulture. You found the right tool for the job. Gonna be going on a boardwalk now. You're gonna see some okapi. Okapi habitat. They've got West African black-crowned crane, and they're choosy eaters. Yeah, they got those fancy feathers on top of their head. Also in this habitat, you got Abyssinian ground hornbill and red-flanked deer. Alright, so I'm not seeing the okapi yet. So hopefully I'll see him a little bit further down. Alright, so in there with the West African black-crowned crane and the red-flanked deer, got the southern Gurnock. There we go. There's a ground hornbill walking around. So I'm not seeing the deer. Oh, I think I saw one earlier. Yeah, the red-flanked deer I saw earlier. There's the hornbill. These are cute animals. Got a southern Gurnock. Hi! How you doing? They just look like they'd be fast. And I'm not really sure if I've ever seen these animals before in the past. We're going to see some Egyptian goose. I've seen lots of them around the zoo already. Demoiselle crane. An Abdem stork. There's the cranes. And the storks. So I'm not going to be surprised at all if I see animals, what I already have, that I've not seen in past places. We got blue crane and white stork. I think the birds that are on the fence are just visiting. But you can see the, looks like I believe it's a stork further down behind the other bird. Yeah, I believe that's the stork. So you have the boardwalk is a gradual decline. As you can see, it goes down slightly. Oh yeah, I get a nice better view of the stork here and the cranes. Hi, how you doing? I'm having something to eat. More information about the okapi.
Yeah, I think we need to go around to the next. About.
This is more of the okapi habitat. Still not seeing them. Alright, so as I stated earlier, I will do my best to make it back, seeing animals that I missed. So I will try to come back to the okapi. Alright, just got off the boardwalk, heading this way now. I really like some of these big trees they have here. The big stones you can sit on, or some logs. Landscaping here is phenomenal. Alright, so this is the lower area view of the white stork. Just see him right there. See the white stork. I don't see the blue crane. Unless that's them further up behind the trees. Just showing you some more of the area here. Don't always show the actual look of the zoo. I mainly just focus on the animal habitats and the animals. The pathway. Alright, got more busy and ground hornbills. And eye protection. So we saw one of these a little bit earlier. Of course, didn't get a very good view. This is a lot better view. Very nice. Just more of this fantastic area as you gradually walk down the pathway. Alright, so African loop. The African loop goes all the way around. So I'm going to head to the right because it eventually meet up. Look at Red River hog.
It used to be by the okapis.
Red River hog habitat. There we go.
Maybe they put the warhog next to the okapi.
Here's the Red River hog. They're cute looking animals.
We'll leave them. They're so cute. They're little ears.
Got another pond. It's the pathway I just took. See more of the water. Alright, now I'm going to be going on this boardwalk over the water. And now we got southern ground hornbill. Alright, southern ground hornbill habitat here. And this boardwalk is a floating boardwalk because it's bouncy. Oh, there you go. Just saw him. That's walking around. Oh, there we go. Another type of ground hornbill.
Oh, there it is. Look at him.
Here on this island, I see some different type of ibis. I'm pretty sure these are ibis. Alright, so it doesn't look like these habitats are being used at the moment for anything because their signs are removed. Now we got marabou stork. And these other islands. These are very, very tall birds. You got that big, giant beak on them. Very cool looking birds though. Very cool looking. I just got off the floating boardwalk. This is good. I was starting to get seasick. Not really, it wasn't that rough. But you could definitely feel the bounciness of people's walking on it. I'm hearing all sorts of birds up there. I see one looks like it's on a nest. So now we got a gradual incline here. More of this gorgeous landscaping. Now we got domestic dog and South African cheetah.
Yep.
And I know what you're thinking. Why is there a dog in here with the cheetah? Isn't the cheetah going to eat the dog? No.
Exactly. No, they're buddies.
The dog and the cheetah grew up together.
And if you look up,
Oh, there's a doggy. I see a doggy's head right there.
so are we on the tram? Did you see the cheetah on the tram?
No, not yet. We're
There
gonna
we
do
go,
it.
there's the doggy.
So that's where the cheetah is, because the tram keeps stopping.
There's the doggy.
Oh, funny. Okay.
So hopefully I'll see the cheetah and a little better view of the doggy from the tram tour. Right past the cheetah and the dog. You got the loading areas for behind the scenes safari and the cart safari. I showed you the pricings for these. These are upcharges. I showed you the pricing for it at the beginning of my tour. Next we're heading this way. We've got the Okavango outpost. Their menu boards. We got some hats here and some fans. Stuff for the kids. We got chips and some other assorted goodies here. We also got subs and more. Alright, so there's lots of seating outside. Alright, since I ate not that long ago, and by the way, the chicken tenders and the fries were really, really good. Surprisingly good for a zoo. There was actually real chicken tenderloins. It wasn't that processed, chopped up chicken you usually get at a amusement park or zoo. So I was very impressed with that. This is some of the wild birds that are in this area that you might see. You got the hummingbird feeder right there. So you might be lucky enough to see them. Here's the ground hornbill. You have restroom locations. We continue on. Here's another view of the stork. Yes, the yellow-billed stork. I like this habitat here. This is really, really nice. Another view of this habitat a little further up that way. Alright, so from the eatery and the restrooms, going to be taking this pathway here. Continue on with the African loop. Alright, next up is going to be the Africa tram. Hopefully we'll see lots of good animals. Information about Africa. Alright, from the tram station is some of the animals we're going to see, hopefully. So yeah, on the tram.
Excellent. My name is Alex. I'm going to be your driver and tour guide for the next 25 minutes. If you're seated next to a door, just give it a small shake. Make sure it's closed properly. Excellent. Now those are closed, but not exactly locked, so please don't try to sit on top of them. They will pop open and they won't support your weight, even if you're small. Now if you look up to the ceiling, there's a yellow safety strip in the back 2 cars. That's for you all to use in the event of a medical emergency. If you're in the front car here next to me and there's no button on the ceiling, you can always wave to me in the mirror or tap on the window. When I say always, I mean you can always do that if you need medical attention. Those procedures are going to be for emergencies only, so please don't use them for anything else. If you drop something overboard like a hat, just remember where you dropped it and let me know about that after the tour is over.
The dude had a broken arm.
Please keep your hands, feet, and children inside the tram at all times. It is okay to stand up when we come to a complete stop to check out some animals, as long as you make sure that you're sitting down any time the vehicle is.
You got a dog in there with the
Now,
cheetah.
speaking of stopping to check out some animals, on the right-hand side, we're about to do that because we've got, of course, that rarest and most elusive of exotic creatures, the Labrador.
Emotional support dog.
Her companion, the South African cheetah.
And the cheetah's got an emotional support dog.
Cheetahs, of course, are famous for their speed. They can hit about 65 miles per hour at a dead sprint.
Emotional support
They only
dog.
do for a short period of time, about 30 seconds or so before they get tired and need to stop. So that cat needs to also make use of their other adaptations. That spotted coat can help them to blend in, hide in the shade, in the shadows, slink through the tall grass and get as close as they possibly can before they actually start chasing their prey. The shorter the distance that cheetah has to
That's
sprint,
the dog's
the more
friend.
likely they are to actually
Companion.
catch a meal.
That's pretty cute.
Now, speaking of meals, in a moment, if you all direct your attention to the left-hand side, you'll see, well, not the goose, but a little further ahead, you might see, actually, no, oh, there they are. Not the impala either, those kind of light brown antelope, but a little further ahead, you'll see some Thompson's gazelles. And those are, of course, the favored prey of the South African cheetah, also capable of running at highway speed, about 55 miles an hour or so for the gazelle. So while the gazelle's a little slower than the cheetah, they do have a lot more stamina. They can keep on going for a few minutes. So really, they only have to avoid that cat for about 30 seconds, and then the gazelles are held free. In fact, they end up winning that foot race about 9 times in 10.
African trains.
Coming by on the right-hand side, we've got flamboyant greater flamingos. That's the name for the flamingos. Isn't that fantastic? Now, of course, the greater flamingo is not actually better than the other flamingos. Please don't tell them I said that.
See nice black
they are
tips
a little
on
bit
the
bigger.
wings.
Whenever you hear that naming convention, the greater whatever, the lesser whatever, it is going to refer to the animal's physical size. So they could just as easily have been called taller flamingos. Alright, so a little bit of a beginning here, talking a few animals, talking a little bit about them, but now we're going to be mostly talking for the rest of our tour today about an awesome ecosystem called the African Savanna, which is actually one of our 8 conservation hubs here at the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance. The hubs are just different areas of focus for our conservation work all around the world, where we collaborate with many different partner organizations to help humanity and wildlife to coexist. So we'll talk a little more about all that stuff on the tour today, as well as talking about the savanna itself as an ecosystem and talking about a lot of the wildlife who make their home there.
Cool thing is we're going to see animals in this tram tour that we're not going to be able to see on the walking areas.
Coming up on our left-hand side, driver's side, we are approaching one of our larger habitats, our South African field here. Looks like a lot of the animals are hanging out off in the distance, but we will be getting closer as the tour goes on. It's a large habitat, so the animals have got a lot of places to go, a lot of freedom to come and go and move around as they please. But while we're out here getting kind of a long-distance view, it's a good opportunity to check out the habitat, check out the layout and the landscape, and kind of ponder what a savanna is going to look like and what makes it a little different from other ecosystems. A lot of wide open grassy spaces, as you all can see, and it's going to be punctuated all throughout with little stands of trees. Now, of course, it's going to have some qualities of a few different other kinds of places. It's a little bit like a grassland with all that open space, but it's also a little bit like a forest with those little tree clusters. So it ends up being kind of a blended ecosystem. It's kind of a mixture of features from both those different types. And that mixture is going to come in handy for a lot of the wildlife who make their home in the savanna. Now, while I said we were going to be talking about the African savanna today as a conservation hub, we are. But we might stop and just point out a few other things on the tour today from the local area. We're going to see a lot of local wildlife as well. We saw a few cormorants flying around over the water, those long-necked birds with the dark feathers. Cormorants are diving birds. They, of course, go down into that pond looking for fish to eat. And kind of sitting up posted on top of that post, I see a couple of turkey vultures. Of course, they're going to be the cleanup crew. Vultures are very, very important to any ecosystem. And those turkey vultures are going to perform the very important function of removing all the carrion, or at least a lot of the carrion, from a habitat. These guys do it down here in Southern California. There, of course, are vultures and other carrion eaters in many other ecosystems around the world. In fact, we should get a chance to spot some African vultures in just a moment here, assuming they've decided to come out and say hello to us this morning. Before we do, we also are starting to see our first antelope in this section here. We've got some Ellipsan waterbuck having some breakfast here, these fluffy brown ladies, and then just a little further ahead to our left we have the gentleman. You can see his distinguished horns coming up off the top of his head. Most antelope actually have horns on everybody, the males and the females, but there are a small handful of species who have horns only on the males. Hey, I promised you guys some African vultures, and here they come on the right-hand side. We've got a couple of lappet-faced vultures sitting on the log. So we have a rufous vulture sitting up ahead on this little log by the water. The rufous are the black and white speckled ones. The lappets have the dark brown feathers, and there should also be some Cape vultures in here. I don't see them right now, but they're usually very, very light brown. Oh, there goes one behind the bush. So like I said with the turkey vultures, these guys, of course, do perform the very important task of waste management, getting all that carrion, all that dead stuff out of the area. They can consume anthrax, E. coli, all sorts of deadly, dangerous bacteria without suffering any ill effects. And they're going to leave the entire habitat a little bit cleaner, a little bit safer, and a little bit more free from disease than it would be without them. Of course, all that life out there on the savanna is going to be interconnected. A lot of these animals and their behavior will have effects on other animals in the area. Oh, a little bit of pushing and shoving from our springbok on the left-hand side here. Very similar to their close cousin, the Thompson's gazelle that we saw earlier today. Same size, same color pattern, and of course they've got the same physical abilities as well. They can also hit speeds of the mid-50s in terms of miles per hour when they are trying to avoid that same predator, the South African cheetah. And now we've got a little teeny tiny bit of empty space in the middle here, which is something that happens with these great big large habitats. Again, the animals have a lot of time and space to come and go as they please, which means sometimes they all gather up together, giving us a really fantastic sight. But when they're doing that, that means they're leaving a lot of empty space in between. A little bit of a different arrangement every time we come out here, which makes these tours really exciting. Part of the fun of working around wildlife is that you never know exactly where they're going to be or what they're going to do. As we're passing by some sable antelope on our left-hand side, sitting in a little circle, facing different directions, watching each other's backs. That is an important set of behavior that's very, very common out on the savanna. You always want to look out for the rest of your herd when you're having a lie down, just to make sure no predator can sneak up on you. Now, a little further up ahead, we've got some Maasai giraffe. Looks like they're having a little bit of target training with their hair staff, so we're not going to pull right up alongside them because it is hard enough to get the giraffe to focus, even without somebody like me standing around making a lot of noise. So we'll go just past them so that we're not distracting the giraffes too much. And then we'll talk a little bit about the giraffe, the buffalo, the rhinos, and all the other animals hanging around down here. So you guys might see our youngest just behind the fence right there. That's Elliot. About 8 months old, over 10 feet tall. So he's tiny for a giraffe, but pretty enormous compared to just about everybody else. You also might have noticed the giraffes are drawing a bit of a crowd out here. We have buffalo, we have Nile lechwe, we have some hemsbok a little further ahead. Those are the beige antelope with the long pointy horns. We even have a few southern white rhinos back against the wall over there. Now, anybody think you might know why the giraffe draws such a crowd? What makes them such a popular stopping point for all the rest of these animals? Well, it's actually not too hard of a question, not too big of a thinker. It is going to be the giraffe's tremendous height that draws a lot of this other wildlife in and around. Giraffe, of course, make for fantastic lookouts. They have excellent eyesight to go along with their tall stature, meaning they're often going to be the first ones in the area to notice any kind of danger approaching. So the other animals will kind of keep one eye on the giraffes. If they look like they're calm, everyone else can take it easy knowing the coast is clear. If the giraffe gets nervous or jumpy or try to run away, everybody else gets up and runs away too. They don't even have to know what the danger is. All they really have to do is follow behind their lookout. While that is good for the giraffe, it keeps them out of trouble, keeps some of their neighbors out of trouble as well. It does sometimes pose a little bit of extra challenge for the researchers, the scientists, the folks who want to study wildlife, especially giraffes, in their natural habitat. Because if a giraffe decides that they don't really want to be followed around all day by a human with a pair of binoculars, all that giraffe has to do is just treat the human the same way they would treat a pride of lions, and just move on out of the area whenever they see you off in the distance. So a lot of researchers, instead of using in-person observation, will use trail cameras to study giraffe movement and behavior. A trail camera is pretty much, for those of you who don't already know, just a camera with a motion sensor. You can hide it behind a rock or tie it to a tree or what have you. And when an animal moves nearby, it sets off the sensor and it takes a photo. So that's good, right? It gets all the giraffe photographs that you wanted, but it's also going to get you photos of lions and wildebeest and all sorts of other animals as well. Everybody shows up on those trail logs. Even some zebras, like those two fellows off our left-hand side there. So a lot of those extra photos all get uploaded to a website called wildwatchkenya.org, which is a place where just about anybody can go. You, me, your kids, your neighbors, your friends, your enemies. And they actually need a little bit of help sometimes. They're crowdsourcing a little bit of that research work. They need people to help them tag which animals show up in which photos. So you can get on there, look through a lot of photos and say, oh hey, this one's got a lion, this one I spotted a cheetah, this one's got a zebra, this one's got an elephant. And all that data gets sorted a little bit better, a little bit easier, more quickly than the scientists could do it. There's not that many of them. It's also kind of just a fun way for folks like you and I to get involved in conservation research from the comfort of our very own computer screen, wildwatchkenya.org. And of course, studying and tracking the movements of a lot of animals is very, very important, helping to establish which areas they frequent most heavily and how they adapt to an ever-changing habitat that they have out there, changing in part due to the activities of us, a lot of human beings. Even us right down here in California, we do some things that do have an effect on the habitats out there in Africa. Oh hey, road antelope coming by, some of them having breakfast, a few of them, were they sparring up here, or are they just having a look at each other? But these two are just kind of sizing each other up a little bit. So this is actually a lot more common than the actual sparring and pushing and shoving. Two antelope will kind of circle each other, take a look, size each other up, and sometimes they'll fight after that, and other times they won't. It doesn't take a lot of energy, and there's a little bit of risk when you're shoving and pushing and fighting. You might fall down or get scraped or injured. So if you size up your opponent and he looks a little bigger than you, sometimes the antelope will use their brains a little bit and decide it's a good idea not to start a fight. So you'll see that behavior a lot as well, that almost fight, and then they kind of pull back off. Fantastic view. We're getting on our left-hand side here of the habitat we just kind of took a little spin through. We can see those giraffe off in the distance, and the giraffe can see us right back, of course. That's how good their eyesight is. Over on the right-hand side, looks like the wildlife is being a little bit shy. I see a duck hanging out on the island there, so we got some local color, some local wildlife. And of course the sprinkler is kicking on, which is actually bringing me down to the importance of water out on the savanna. Now the African savanna is an awesome habitat, a great ecosystem. It supports all this wildlife we've been talking about. But it is in a little bit of a tight spot right now, due in large part to water and the supply of water. Now, it's got a very delicate ecosystem. It's very dependent on the cycle of the seasons. The savanna has a very long dry season, and then that's followed up with a very short but very wet rainy season that comes in the spring. So, after that long dry season, a lot of the plants turn kind of brown and desiccated and dried up. They're not covering the land or providing as much food or shelter for the animal life as they maybe otherwise could. But in the springtime, once that rain comes down, all the plant matter turns green again. A lot of the things that are dormant underground start to grow. The land gets kind of lush and plentiful. Some animals are actually so dependent on those spring rains, they will migrate in huge numbers just to arrive at the spot a little bit earlier and be there when the first rain falls. Wildebeest, for instance, famously will migrate in the millions, that's millions with an M, to arrive at those spring rains. So you can imagine if something were to happen that delayed those rains or lessened them or caused them to arrive a few weeks late, it would have a pretty huge impact on all the animal and plant life out there on the savanna, right? Habitats would get broken up, not enough plant matter coming out to cover that area and provide enough livable habitat for the wildlife, including, of course, the Grevy's zebras we have down on the left-hand side there. I'm going to pull ahead a bit so we can get a better look at our zebras. Now, unfortunately, that is something that's been happening quite a bit in the last 100 years or so, due mostly to human activity. And when I say human activity, I am talking about human-driven climate change. As we get a better look at our zebras just behind those rocks down there, as well as our rhinos, buffalo, and giraffes further in the distance. All those animals are going to be very greatly impacted by climate change driven by humans. But that's not something that was caused by one person. Nobody woke up in the morning and said, I'm going to make the planet just a little bit too warm and dry for the zebras and the rhinos. But many millions of people all doing the same behavior together, in this case burning a lot of fossil fuels, we have kind of added up a little bit. We've had a cumulative effect on the environment, leading to warmer average temperatures and changes in rainfall and other kinds of precipitation. Now, just like the problem wasn't really caused by any one individual, no one person can fix it either. Just me by myself going out there, conserving water and using less fuel and gas, that doesn't really do much, right? I'm just one person. But if many, many people all do the same behavior, like we just talked about a second ago, except in the other direction, right? Everybody conserves water, everybody saves energy, everybody limits their usage of things like gasoline as much as is possible, then it starts to build up, right? It starts to become cumulative again, has that huger impact when many, many millions of people all do the same thing. Thanks for following me along on that one there. Now we're going to come around the corner here and get hopefully a nice up-close look at these eland. Those are the big tan antelope you can kind of see around the corner there. I don't want to make too many promises about them because they are standing in a really interesting spot. They are going to be right next to the fence, but they might be just far enough down the slope that they're not visible, so let's see what we can get. We also do have a lot of eland, so I feel like a few of them should be nice and visible up here. Oh yeah, here they are. Now these are the common or Patterson's eland. A little bit of debate as to whether they are the largest antelope on the planet or the second largest. The other major candidate, of course, is their close relative, the giant eland. Clearly, whoever gave them those two names had an opinion about who was bigger. But they average around similar sizes. There's a little bit of quibbling amongst biologists over whether you're talking about average size versus individual size versus the biggest one ever, and so on and so forth. But whether they're number one or number two, the eland, a tremendously large antelope. Some of the bigger adults can weigh in around 1,700 or 1,800 pounds. About the same size as those Cape buffalo we saw down at the bottom of the hill there.
Oh, my size.
We're going to Europe next year. Spain.
We're going to take a trip this year, though.
Not Europe. Europe said yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to use it as kind of like a jumping point to go to other spots. Yeah. But we'll go to one. We both want to go to like Switzerland.
I want to go to Ireland.
You want to go to Ireland?
No, Iceland, sorry.
Oh, Iceland. That was just a tease. No,
Iceland there, they like...
Coming by on our right-hand side, we got a couple of mountain zebras. You got a good look at the gravies earlier. Have noticed a little difference in their stripes. Different zebra species and subspecies do have little subtle stripe differences. The mountain zebras here have very big variations in width. They're thin towards the front of the zebra and then wider towards the rear end, whereas the gravies we saw before, very even, black-white, very evenly sized all up and down the animal. But whatever the little variations you get, zebra stripes are all going to serve basically the same purpose, that is to confuse and throw off predators. A lot of striped zebras all hanging around close to each other, they do start to blur and blend together. It can be really difficult to tell which one's which, hard to separate one from the herd. And of course, if you're a pride of lions and you're out hunting for lunch, it's very important that you all agree on which zebra you're chasing. Just saw a red-tailed hawk. Oh, on the left-hand side, you guys can see in that tree right there, perched on the left side. Very hard to see in and amongst the branches with the wings folded, but there was a hawk that just pulled in there. It might even be something smaller. Nope, that's a hawk. It got chased in there by a couple of crows. It is lovely to see the local wildlife popping out here and there, as we mentioned a little bit earlier. We're actually coming up right now on a section that is very good for local wildlife. With a little bit of clear-ish space on the left and right side of the tram. A lot of shrubbery, bushes, and trees. It's a great spot to see things like deer and roadrunners and rabbits. So we're going to take a little break from the African wildlife and see if we can spot some of those California locals around here. Now, of course, they're not fenced in or anything, so sometimes a deer or a roadrunner will just show up and say hello. Other times they won't. So it's all very spontaneous and a lot of guessing to see whether they're going to come out. Okay, actually I do see a deer up ahead, so that's good. It would have been really awkward if I talked about them and then they didn't show up. So just behind that white dump truck there, you might see one of our local species. This is referred to as the John Deere. The green coloration makes excellent camouflage. Those big tires going to help it move over difficult terrain, and that's a tractor joke. I'm sorry, everybody.
Of course.
But deer or no deer, we are coming by the Rhino Rescue Center on our left-hand side. Do we have any rhinos out here?
A John Deere. Oh my
It
God.
looks like the rhinos are having a bit of a sleep in this morning. They haven't made their way out into their front yard. But I'm still going to tell you all about some of the exciting work we do right here at the Rhino
Gotta have the
Rescue
dad
Center.
jokes.
The species we've been seeing a little bit here and there on the tour today, the southern white rhinos, those are the ones who live out here on the Africa Tram Path. They're also the ones who live over there at the Rhino Rescue Center. They are actually the most populous rhino species. There are more than 10,000 southern white rhinos kicking around the planet, most of them living down in South Africa. But they've still got a very important role to play here at the safari park in terms of conservation. Because the southern white rhino has got a close cousin called the northern white rhino. Not really confusing at all how they gave them almost the same name. But the northern white rhino is the most endangered animal I'm going to tell you guys about today, because there are only 2 of them left on the planet. That's all of planet Earth, parks, zoos, out in the wild, in the backyards of eccentric weirdos. All of that together, there are only 2 northern white rhinos. They're a mother and a daughter, and they both live together on a wildlife preserve over in Kenya. Now, some of you biologists in the crowd might have already spotted the issue with that population, right? 2 rhinos, both of them female. They can't exactly make any more babies, at least not the usual way. So we do a lot of research back there at the Rhino Rescue Center, working with the southern white rhinos, studying artificial insemination, in vitro fertilization, embryo storage and transfer, hoping that one day, 5 or 10 years down the line, we might be able to have some of our southern white rhinos serve as surrogates for northern white rhino embryos. Very exciting, very cutting-edge Jurassic Park type of conservation research being done back there at the Rhino Rescue Center. And all that talk of rhinos on the right-hand side, here we do finally have some southern white rhinos relatively up close. So we'll pull up here and stop for a second to get a look at them. And while we're doing that, I want to take a second to thank you guys for visiting us here at the park. The San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance, the bigger organization of which the San Diego Zoo Safari Park is one of the 2 front doors. The San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance is a non-profit organization, so all the money from tickets and memberships and t-shirts and stuff goes right into conservation work, right towards, number 1, taking care of all the wildlife living right here at the park, but also toward our many, many projects and partnerships happening all around the globe, working with various other organizations to help conserve endangered wildlife and their habitats as well. So all that's made possible by you folks and your support, so thank you very much everybody for being allies for wildlife, and thank you as well for listening to my little commercial there towards the end of the tour. I know you didn't have a ton of choice about whose voice is booming over your heads on the speakers, but thanks just as much for coming along with me there. Looks like the rhinos are having a nice morning nap.
Next to a giraffe.
Alright, so we're continuing back around toward the station now. My name is Alex. I've been your driver and tour guide this morning. If you all have any questions about anything we saw out there, you can always ask me or my friends back at the station. We love to chat about wildlife here at the park. That's going to be one of our favorite subjects. You guys had a good time out there and learned some fun facts about wildlife and conservation, how all this fits together, the animals, the humans, the plants, the ecosystems, the weather. It's all connected, and since we are, of course, as humans, part of that great big connected web of doings, it is always important for us to connect responsibly. So once we arrive back at the station, everybody, you guys are going to be able to exit on the right-hand side. Pretty easy to remember. It's the side with the great big building, and definitely not the side with the open road. Can be a little dangerous to go walking off into the road, and we do try to keep everybody safe here at the park, the humans, the plants, the animals, and of course that includes you guys.
And back to the tram station.
So after the vehicle comes to a complete stop, you guys can reach over those doors on the right-hand side only, undo those latches by pushing them forward, and then you can make your way back out into the station and back out into the park. Thank you all so much for visiting, and have a fantastic day here at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park.
Alright, so right before you get on the tram, did you take your picture? get your photos. They don't let you take video of the pictures, unfortunately. We're at the exit. You got the journey cart. All right, so the tram tour was fantastic. This one is included with your entry ticket. They do have the other safaris that go a little bit deeper and give you more information, is what I understand based on the stuff I was reading about it.